What do you do when your bride admits that she loves someone else while holding your shirt? He left quietly, but returned with the truth that changed everything. Jack slammed his laptop shut, the code he'd been debugging for hours finally compiling without errors. His Seattle apartment smelled of fresh laundry, the hum of the dryer blending with the faint buzz of a Netflix series playing in the background. He stretched, his back aching from the office chair, and stepped into the bedroom where Emily, his fiancée, sorted clothes on their bed. The sight of her folding his shirts, her engagement ring glinting under the lamp, usually grounded him after a long day. Tonight, though, her hands moved too fast, her eyes avoiding his. "Jack, we need to talk," Emily said, her voice sharp, slicing through the room's calm. She dropped a half-folded shirt, her fingers twitching as if the fabric burned. "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I need more. Passion, something bigger." The words hit like a power surge, frying every thought in Jack's head. 6 years together, 18 months engaged, and she delivered this while pairing his socks. He stood frozen, the room tilting slightly, her confession echoing in his skull. Passion? What did that even mean? They'd planned a wedding, picked out a venue, laughed over guest lists just last week. His throat tightened, but he forced his voice steady. "Thanks for being honest." Emily's eyes widened, like she'd expected a fight, not this quiet acceptance. Jack turned, grabbed a duffel bag from the closet, and started packing. Shirts, jeans, laptop charger. Each item landed with a soft thud, marking the end of something he couldn't yet name. "Wait, what are you doing?" Emily's voice cracked, panic creeping in. She stepped toward him, a sock still dangling in her hand. "Jack, stop. We can work this out. Therapy, maybe?" He zipped the bag, his movements deliberate, ignoring the sting behind his eyes. "You can't unsay that, Emily. It's out there now." He slung the bag over his shoulder and walked to the door, her footsteps trailing him. "Jack, please. I was stressed. Work's been crazy. Don't just leave." Her pleas bounced off him, hollow. He'd felt the distance for weeks. Her late nights at the office, her phone glued to her hand, her one-word answers. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment slip. It was a diagnosis. By 1 a.m., Jack was driving to his brother Mike's place, the Seattle skyline blurring through the windshield. His phone buzzed, Emily calling again. He let go to voicemail, her voice a faint ghost in the car. Mike's apartment, a cramped one-bedroom in Capitol Hill, welcomed him with a lumpy pull-out couch and the faint smell of burnt toast. Mike didn't ask questions, just tossed him a spare key. "Door's always open, man," he said, already half asleep. Jack lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, the neighbor's dog barking every 20 minutes. Emily's words replayed. Not in love, need passion. Had she practiced that line? Googled it, maybe? The casual delivery burned worse than the words themselves, like she'd been carrying this truth for weeks, waiting for the right moment to unload. He thought of her late nights, the way she'd smile at her phone, then lock it when he entered the room. The pieces were there, but he hadn't wanted to see them. By morning, his phone was flooded. Texts, voicemails, all Emily. "I didn't mean it," one message said. "I'm scared of losing us," said another. Jack deleted them without replying. He wasn't angry, not yet. He was numb, like a system rebooting after a crash. At breakfast, Mike slid a coffee across the table. "You okay?" he asked, his eyes scanning Jack's face. "No," Jack admitted, stirring the coffee he didn't drink. "But I will be." Mike nodded, then pulled up his phone, scrolling through Instagram. "Check this out," he said, tilting the screen. Emily's story showed her at a bar, laughing, a guy's arm just visible at the edge of the frame. "Posted this an hour after you left. Classy." Jack's stomach twisted. The guy's arm, tattooed, unfamiliar, felt like a clue he'd missed. "Who's that?" he asked, voice low. Mike shrugged. "Some dude from her work? Probably. She's been tagging this Kevin guy a lot lately." Kevin. The name landed like a spark in dry grass. Emily's co-worker, the marketing hotshot she'd mentioned in passing. Late nights, team drinks, just work stuff. Jack's fingers tightened around his mug. He didn't have proof. Not yet, but the dots were connecting. Jack woke to the buzz of his phone, notifications piling up like wreckage. Emily's messages had shifted from desperate to accusatory. "You're throwing away 6 years. And how can you be so cold?" He muted her, unwilling to let her words claw deeper. Mike's apartment, cramped but quiet, offered a temporary shield. Over coffee, Mike scrolled through his phone, his jaw tightening. "She's at it again," he said, showing Jack Emily's Instagram. A new post painted her as the heartbroken fiancée, abandoned by a distant partner. Comments from her friends flooded in, vilifying Jack. He just walked out? What a jerk, one read. Another, you deserve better, Em. Jack's chest tightened, not from sadness but from the audacity of her spin. She's rewriting history, he muttered, handing the phone back. Mike leaned forward, eyes sharp. Check the background of her last story. Jack squinted at the blurry image. A bar, Emily laughing, and that same tattooed arm from before, now clearer. Kevin. The name burned hotter now, a signal flare in Jack's gut. He'd heard it too often lately, dropped casually in Emily's stories about work. Team drinks with Kevin, she'd say, brushing it off. Now, those moments felt like breadcrumbs leading somewhere dark. Jack opened his laptop, his programmer's instincts kicking in. He wasn't a hacker like Mike, but he knew systems, patterns, data. He logged into their shared bank account, something he hadn't checked in months, trusting Emily with the finances. His eyes scanned the transactions. Coffee runs, groceries, then there. A $200 charge for a boutique hotel downtown, dated 3 weeks ago. Another for a dinner at a spot they'd never been to together. His pulse quickened. She said she was working late, he told Mike, pointing at the screen. Mike raised an eyebrow. Working late at the Four Seasons? Jack's fingers flew across the keyboard, cross-referencing dates. The charges lined up with Emily's late nights at the office. He felt like he was debugging code, tracing errors to their source. Mike, leaning over his shoulder, whistled. That's not cheap. You think it's this Kevin guy? Jack didn't answer. He didn't need to. The evidence was stacking, each transaction a nail in the coffin of trust. That evening, Emily called again. Jack let it ring, but Mike grabbed the phone, putting it on speaker before Jack could stop him. Jack, please. Emily's voice crackled, raw with urgency. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. I was scared, okay? The wedding, the commitment, it overwhelmed me. Jack stayed silent, his jaw clenched. Mike mouthed, don't buy it. Emily pressed on. I'm not myself lately. Work's been intense, and Kevin's been helping me cope. He's just a friend. The name hit like a spark on gasoline. Kevin, Jack said, his voice low, controlled. The guy you're with in every story? The one you're just friends with at $200 hotels? Silence stretched on the line, heavy and damning. Emily stammered. It's not what you think. He's been through a breakup. He gets it. Jack cut her off. Stop. I'm not doing this. He hung up, his hands shaking. Mike clapped his shoulder. You're doing the right thing, man. She's playing you. The next morning, Jack woke to a new post from Emily. A tearful selfie, captioned, Honesty hurts, but I'm trying to fix my mistakes. The comments were brutal, her friends piling on. It doesn't deserve you. Men can't handle real emotions. Jack's inbox buzzed with messages from mutual acquaintances, some pleading for him to hear her out, others accusing him of abandoning her. He deleted them all, but the weight of her narrative pressed harder. She was building a story where he was the villain, and it was working. Mike, sipping coffee, slid his laptop toward Jack. I did some digging, he said, his tone clipped. Mike's side hustle as a cybersecurity enthusiast gave him an edge Jack lacked. Emily's been sloppy with her accounts. He opened a folder with screenshots, texts between Emily and Kevin, pulled from a cloud backup she hadn't secured. Jack's stomach churned as he read. Kevin's messages were calculated. Jack's holding you back. You deserve someone who lights you up. That not in love line will soften the blow. Emily's replies showed her wavering, then agreeing, parroting Kevin's words like a script. Jack leaned back, the room spinning. Kevin hadn't just been a bystander. He'd orchestrated the breakup, feeding Emily doubts until she cracked. He coached her, Jack said, his voice barely a whisper. Mike nodded. And he's not done. Look at this. Another screenshot showed Kevin's LinkedIn, recently updated, boasting a promotion and a move to Los Angeles. He's already out of the picture, Mike said. Left her to clean up the mess. Jack's numbness cracked, anger seeping through. Emily's betrayal was bad enough, but Kevin's manipulation turned it into something uglier. He wanted to confront her, to throw the screenshots in her face, but Mike stopped him. Don't tip your hand yet, he said. You need a plan. Jack nodded, his mind racing. He wasn't just fighting for closure now. He was fighting for the truth. Jack sat at Mike's cluttered kitchen table, the glow of the laptop screen casting shadows as he stared at the screenshots. Kevin's words to Emily, calculated, insidious, burned into his memory. Jack's too safe. You need fire. Each message was a pinprick, confirming the betrayal wasn't just Emily's impulse, but an orchestrated unraveling. Mike paced, coffee mug in hand, his voice sharp with indignation. This guy played her like a chess piece, and you're the one taking the hit online. Jack nodded, his resolve hardening. He wasn't just a victim. He was a programmer, trained to find patterns and fix broken systems. This was a system he could debug. He opened their shared cloud drive, untouched since he moved out. Emily hadn't changed the password, a careless oversight. Files appeared, wedding plans, grocery lists, and, buried in a folder labeled work, receipts. Hotel bookings, dinner reservations, even a weekend trip to Portland, all timestamped during her late work nights. Jack's fingers trembled as he cross-referenced the dates with Kevin's messages. They aligned perfectly, a timeline of deception. She wasn't just confiding in him, Jack said, voice tight. They were planning a life. Mike cracked his knuckles, a habit when he was scheming. We need more than receipts. Something undeniable. Jack agreed. Confronting Emily now would only spark denials or tears. He needed proof that would silence her narrative. Mike, ever the cybersecurity sleuth, suggested checking her email backups. If she's sloppy with the cloud, her email's probably worse. Jack hesitated. Hacking felt like crossing a line, but this wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity. He gave Mike the nod. Within an hour, Mike had accessed an old email account Emily used for work, linked to their shared tablet. The inbox was a goldmine, flirty exchanges with Kevin, plans for drinks, and one email that stopped Jack cold. Kevin had written, "Say you're not in love anymore. It's cleaner. He'll walk away, and we can start fresh." Emily's reply was short. "I'm scared, but you're right." Jack's breath caught. She hadn't just fallen out of love. She'd been coached to destroy it. The next day, Jack's phone buzzed with a new voicemail from Emily. "I know you're mad, but I'm begging you to talk," she said, her voice shaky. Kevin was a mistake, a friend who got too close. "Please, Jack." He deleted it, her words hollow against the evidence. But her public campaign was escalating. A new Instagram post showed her holding their old engagement photo, captioned, "I push him away, but I'll fight for us." Her followers ate it up, flooding Jack's inbox with accusations of cruelty. "You broke her heart," one message read. Another, "Give her a chance, don't be a coward." Jack's anger flared, but he kept it caged. He needed to stay focused. Mike suggested a bolder move. Track Kevin's digital footprint. "If he's this slick, he's done it before," Mike said, already typing. They found Kevin's old Reddit posts under a thinly veiled username, boasting about helping women leave boring partners. One post detailed a breakup strategy, nearly identical to Emily's words, used on a previous girlfriend. Jack's blood ran cold. Kevin wasn't just a player. He was a predator, targeting engaged women for sport. That evening, Emily showed up at Mike's apartment unannounced, banging on the door. Jack opened it, steeling himself. She stepped inside, clutching her phone, her posture rigid with desperation. "I know you saw my posts," she said, voice cracking. "I am sorry, okay. I was confused. Kevin listened when I needed someone." Jack crossed his arms, unmoved. "Listened? Or told you what to say?" Her eyes widened, caught off guard. "What's that supposed to mean?" Mike, leaning against the counter, slid his laptop toward her. "These," he said, showing Kevin's emails. Emily's face drained of color as she read, her hands shaking. "I didn't know," she whispered. "He said it was the kindest way to end things." Jack stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "He fed you a script, Emily. You didn't just break us. You let him rewrite us." She sank onto the couch, tears spilling, but Jack felt no urge to comfort her. The truth was out, and it was sharper than any argument. She stammered, "I thought he cared about me. He said you weren't enough, that I deserve more." Jack cut her off. "And you believed him. Instead of talking to me, you chose him." Emily's sobs grew louder, but Jack's resolve held. He handed her a USB drive with the emails and receipts. "Take this. Read it. Then decide who you're really crying for." She clutched the drive, her breath hitching, and left without another word. Jack watched her car pull away, the Seattle rain streaking his window. Mike clapped his shoulder. "You good?" Jack exhaled, feeling lighter than he had in weeks. Getting there. The confrontation hadn't erased the pain, but it had shifted the weight. Emily's betrayal was hers to carry now, and Kevin's role was exposed. Jack wasn't done yet. He needed to ensure Kevin faced consequences, not just for him, but for the next person he targeted. Jack leaned against the counter in Mike's kitchen, the USB drive's weight lingering in his mind even after Emily left with it. Her tearful exit hadn't softened him. It only sharpened his focus. Kevin's manipulation wasn't just personal, it was a pattern, and Jack wasn't about to let it slide. He opened his laptop, pulling up the Reddit threads Mike had found. Kevin's posts brag about guiding women out of relationships, each story a blueprint for chaos. Jack's fingers itched to act, but he needed a strategy, not an outburst. Mike, scrolling through his own screen, suggested a move. Expose him where it hurts, his career. Jack hesitated. Ruining someone's life felt like a line he'd never crossed, but Kevin's actions weren't a one-off. The Reddit posts mentioned other women, other broken engagements. Jack searched Kevin's LinkedIn again, noting his new role in Los Angeles. Senior marketing strategist at a flashy startup. A plan formed. Jack drafted an anonymous tip, compiling Kevin's Reddit posts, the incriminating emails, and a timeline of his affair with Emily. He sent it to the startup's HR department, careful to strip any trace of his identity. Let them decide what to do with him, he told Mike, hitting send. The next morning, Jack's phone buzzed with a text from Emily. I read everything. I'm so sorry. Can we meet? He stared at the message, his thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of him wanted to ignore her, but the lease on their shared apartment loomed, a practical tether they still needed to cut. He agreed to meet at a downtown Starbucks, neutral ground. Arriving early, Jack claimed a corner table, his coffee cooling as he braced for the conversation. Emily walked in, clutching a folder, her movements jerky like she hadn't slept. She slid into the seat across from him, pushing the folder forward. Lease termination papers, she said, voice flat. I'll cover my half until it's done. Jack nodded, signing the documents without fanfare. The business was straightforward, but Emily lingered, her fingers twisting around her coffee cup. I didn't know Kevin was using me, she said, her voice breaking. He made me think I was choosing myself, but it was all him. Jack leaned back, unmoved. You still chose to believe him over me. That's not on Kevin. Her eyes dropped, and for a moment, silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken regrets. She pushed further, her voice rising. I ended things with him. He's gone, moved to L.A. I want to fix us, Jack. He shook his head, the words he'd rehearsed spilling out. There's no us left. You built a story with him while I was planning our wedding. I'm done carrying that. Emily's face crumpled, but Jack stood, leaving the signed papers on the table. As he walked out, his phone vibrated, a new email from an unknown address. The subject line read, regarding your tip. The email was from the startup's HR. Kevin's employment had been terminated after an investigation into unprofessional conduct. The Reddit posts, cross-referenced with internal complaints from other employees, painted a clear picture of his behavior. Jack exhaled, a weight lifting. Kevin's career wasn't destroyed, but his actions had consequences. Mike, reading over his shoulder, grinned. Karma's a hell of a debugger. Days later, Jack found himself at the climbing gym, a new routine that grounded him. He was mid-route, muscle straining, when his phone pinged with a notification. Emily had posted again, this time a vague apology. I hurt someone I loved, and I'm learning from it. No mention of Kevin, no blame on Jack. The comments were mixed, some supportive, others calling her out. Jack didn't care. He was done with her narrative. At the gym, he met Sarah, a fellow climber who challenged him to a harder route. Her laugh was easy, her questions about his day genuine. For the first time in weeks, Jack felt a spark of something new, untainted by betrayal. Back at Mike's, Jack checked his email again. A mutual friend, Lisa, had forwarded a message from Emily, sent to their old circle. It admitted her role in the breakup, sparing the details but owning her mistakes. I'll let someone else cloud my judgment, it read. Jack didn't deserve that. Lisa added her own note. She's a mess, but she's trying to make it right. Jack closed the laptop, uninterested in Emily's redemption arc. He'd exposed the truth, severed the lease, and reclaimed his life. The past was just data now, analyzed, processed, and archived. Jack pushed through the glass door of the climbing gym, his chalk-dusted hands gripping a water bottle. The Seattle rain pounded outside, but inside, the air buzzed with focus and adrenaline. He'd been coming here for weeks, each climb a step away from the wreckage Emily left behind. Sarah, the climber he'd met, waved him over to a new boulder problem. Think you can top this one? She challenged, her grin pulling him into the moment. Jack clipped his shoes on, his mind clear, and tackled the route, muscles straining until he reached the top. Sarah's cheer echoed below, a sound that felt like a fresh start. Back at Mike's apartment, Jack scrolled through his emails, ignoring a new message from Emily. Her subject line, "I'm sorry again," sat unopened. He'd seen her public apology, read the forwarded confessions, but they didn't pull him back. Instead, he focused on a job offer from a tech startup in Portland, a chance to lead a coding team. The interview had gone well, his confidence buoyed by hours spent rebuilding himself through therapy and climbing. He typed a quick acceptance, his fingers steady, and hit send. Mike, sprawled on the couch, raised a beer. "To new beginnings, man." The next day, Jack met Lisa, their mutual friend, at a diner to tie up loose ends, a shared streaming account still linked to Emily. Over greasy fries, Lisa spilled news. "Emily's moving to Chicago," she said, stirring her soda. "She got a job offer, wants a fresh start." Jack nodded, unsurprised. Chicago felt like her kind of escape, a city big enough to drown her regrets. Lisa leaned in, voice low. "She knows about Kevin's firing. Found out through a coworker. She's not defending him anymore." Jack shrugged, dipping a fry in ketchup. "Good. She's learning." His phone buzzed mid-bite. A text from Sarah, inviting him to a group hike that weekend. He smiled, typing a quick yes. The diner's noise faded as he pictured the trail, Sarah's easy banter, the absence of second-guessing every word. Lisa noticed his expression and smirked. Someone's moving on. Jack didn't deny it. He paid the bill, canceled the streaming account, and walked into the rain, feeling unburdened. That evening, Mike handed Jack a USB drive labeled Closure. It contained a zipped file of Kevin's latest downfall, screenshots from a tech forum where former colleagues exposed his pattern of manipulating coworkers for personal gain. The startup's HR had shared Jack's anonymous tip with industry contacts, and Kevin's name was now flagged in hiring circles. "He's radioactive," Mike said, grinning. "No one's touching him." Jack saved the file, but didn't gloat. Kevin's ruin wasn't his victory. His victory was the life he was building. The hike with Sarah's group was a 5-mile trek through the Cascades, the air crisp with pine and damp earth. Sarah kept pace beside him, pointing out a hidden waterfall, her enthusiasm infectious. When they stopped for lunch, she asked about his move to Portland. "New job, new city," Jack said, biting into an apple. "Feels right." She nodded, her eyes steady. "You seem like someone who knows what he wants." For the first time in months, Jack believed that was true. Back in Seattle, Jack packed his belongings, the lease on his new Portland apartment signed. Mike helped load boxes into Jack's car, tossing in a bag of climbing gear. "Don't go soft down there," Mike teased, clapping Jack's shoulder. As Jack drove south, his phone stayed silent. No more pleas from Emily, no more accusations from her friends. He'd blocked her number after the diner, a final cut to the last thread tying him to her. A week later, settled in Portland, Jack got a call from Lisa. "Emily reached out," she said, hesitant. "She wanted you to know she's seeing a therapist, trying to understand why she fell for Kevin's lies." Jack listened, stirring his coffee, but felt no pull to respond. "Tell her I wish her well," he said, meaning it. Forgiveness wasn't about Emily. It was about freeing himself from her shadow. He hung up, opened his laptop, and started coding a side project, his fingers flying with purpose. At the climbing gym that weekend, Sarah challenged him to a speed climb. They raced, laughing as they scrambled up the wall, Jack edging her out by a second. Over post-climb beers, she leaned closer, her hand brushing his. "You're different," she said, grounded but not stuck. Jack smiled, the weight of the past gone. He wasn't the man who folded shirts while his world collapsed. He was the man who climbed, coded, and chose himself first.